What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Comic Island. My name is Joey, and one of the most recognizable Marvel character is finally back in action after his death in 2015. And by action, I mean very little action. As of this video, we have not yet got any explanation as to what happened and how he got revived, or if he even died in the first place, but I'm getting a bit ahead of myself, so let's just all relax and rewind back to the events leading up to his death back in 2014. Back in Wolverine Volume 4, Logan has been hot on the trail of a hive mind virus-like entity from the Microverse that desires nothing less than the infection of the entire human race. After their first few battles, the entity tried to coerce Logan to become its host by crashing and sinking a S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier and infecting various S.H.I.E.L.D. agents including Director Nick Fury. Logan ultimately saved Fury and most of the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, but victory was short-lived. As it departed Fury's body, the virus entity played its last card, leaving Wolverine exhausted and unable to use his mutant healing abilities. At this time, during the X-Men timeline, Wolverine has taken over as the headmaster of the Jean Grey School for Higher Learning, but due to the loss of his healing factor, he stepped down, leaving the school under Storm's watch. Fellow X-Men Beast aids his fellow friend by synthesizing a drug to counteract the adamantium poisoning, but now Logan is vulnerable to injury and he will age at a normal rate. And oh, his adamantium skeleton weighs a lot more than regular bones do, and every time he extracts his claws, Wolverine risks infection due to the fact that the cut in his knuckles will not close up right away. Meanwhile, word of Wolverine's newfound mortality is out. Everyone seems to be after Logan for either the bounty on his head or to go down in history as the one who killed the Wolverine. Arch-enemy Sabretooth, who recently took over the Ninja Assassin Guild, the Hand, has put one such bounty on Logan's head. With Kitty Pryde's help, Wolverine tracks down his old nemesis back to Canada, but unbeknownst to the X-Men, Sabretooth planned the whole thing in order to bait Wolverine back to his Canadian home, which turned into a shopping mall. Beaten, bloodied, and scarred from his battle with Sabretooth, Logan had lost it all, and basically his will to live. But Victor Creed will not give the X-Men the satisfaction of death. Sabretooth spares Wolverine's life as a way of tormenting his old nemesis. He wants Logan to live a long and miserable life in hopes that Wolverine would take the coward's way out and take his own life at the end. After being stitched up in the X-Mansion, Logan leaves the X-Men stating that the Wolverine is dead. Instead of calling it quits, Wolverine accepts a mission from S.H.I.E.L.D. He is to infiltrate a criminal organization led by a man named The Offer. His mission: win the trust of crime boss Offer, infiltrate his team, and then provide information on the Offer's master plan involving a partnership with Sabretooth. Donning a new battle armor suit, Wolverine joins up with the Offer's criminal organization, but he was always perceived as an outsider. In order to gain their trust, Wolverine made his leave from the Jean Grey School a spectacle. He alienated himself from every core X-Men member, and then he even hunted down Cyclops' hidden base to threaten the life of fellow X-Men, Kitty Pryde. Trust has been gained, so Crime Boss Offer sends Wolverine and his organization to Madripoor to steal a reality warping sphere before Sabretooth can get his hands on it. But in the process, Logan's cover was blown by fellow teammate Pinch. With his cover blown, Wolverine leaves Madripoor and heads to Japan to meet up with martial artist Shang-Chi and Danny Rand the Iron Fist. Here, he goes face to face with the fear that he had been combating since the loss of his healing factor, Death herself. Meanwhile, Sabretooth, with the reality warping sphere in hand and the full support of Crime Boss Offer, heads towards New York City with ambitions to unleash the sphere's power. Well, not if Wolverine can help it. After facing his fear of death with Death herself, Wolverine sets out to attack Sabretooth's New York stronghold, but not without squaring things with the X-Men. While on his way to New York, Logan calls in his S.H.I.E.L.D. contact. They came along with an Avenger enforcer, Thor Odinson. Logan eventually gets an audience with Victor Creed. They battle to the death, but as Sabretooth falls unconscious from too many blows, Wolverine decides to spare his life while passing out as well from his injuries. After returning to the X-Men, Logan decides to leave once again to find some peace. But by now, word of his mortality has reached every corner of the criminal underworld. A contract was put out to bring in Wolverine alive. All who tried were cut down. The last assassin who tried to collect the bounty failed to do so. Instead, he revealed that Madam Viper was the one who put out the contract. Arriving in Madripoor, Wolverine once again takes on his nemesis Victor Creed, who is protecting the Green Queen. With Kitty Pryde's help, Logan stands to fight another day. But he discovers that Viper was only brokering the contract on his head. Logan finds Lord Ogun in Japan, who he manages to get more details on the person who put out the contract. Dr. Abraham Cornelius. Logan travels across the Nevada desert to find the man behind his adamantium bonding process. Arriving on location and after chopping down the military guards, Logan discovers that the contract was put out on anyone who has adamantium. Dr. Cornelius has been a busy man. He bought up all the adamantium that he could find, but Wolverine? Well, the malevolent doctor definitely wants Logan's adamantium skeletons. But what he wants more is Wolverine's healing factor. Cornelius will not be around forever, so he had to finish his last gift to the world, a military force with Logan's berserker rage and his indestructible skeleton, but without the defiance. Cornelius begins the procedure on his test subjects, but Wolverine stops the adamantium bonding process, which inadvertently covers him in hot adamantium liquid. Cornelius dies from a falling glass shard which pierces his intestines, but Wolverine finally succumbs to the adamantium liquid, which had enough time to harden, turning the Wolverine into a statue of himself. The fallout of Wolverine's death hit those closest to him hard. Beast acted as intern head of the Jean Grey School, but Storm eventually took over. Cyclops hated Wolverine since the day he joined the X-Men, but there is no doubt that he holds a ton of respect for the fallen X-Men. Nightcrawler lost a brother, but X-23 lost the only family she had in the world, a man she sees as her father. But the son of Wolverine truly lost his father. After stopping an illegal auction for Wolverine's body parts, Daken killed every participant, only allowing one man to go. The one man who survives serves a purpose to spread the word. Anyone trying to profit off his father's body part will meet a gruesome death from the hand of the Dark Wolverine. Following the destruction of the Weapon X facility in Nevada, 5 Weapon X test subjects, all with unique abilities, managed to escape the crumbling building. These 5 test subjects, while on the run from the Weapon X operatives, discovered that they had expiration dates. Led by Shogun, these 5 kidnapped associates closest to Wolverine in hopes of finding a cure through their healing factor. X-23, Sabretooth, Lady Deathstrike, Daken, and Mystique all agreed to help these 5 test subjects under fear of being killed by a phrase implanted in their head during their time with the Weapon X program. Their search for a cure led them back to the Nevada Weapon X facility in hopes of finding Wolverine's adamantium-laced body. These Wolverines found more than just that. They came face to face with a deadly X-Men foe, Mr. Sinister. He took the adamantium statue as well as convinced 3 members of the Weapon X test subjects to return with him to his hidden compound. The splintered team regrouped and attacked Sinister's compound in hopes of retrieving the adamantium statue, only to again meet opposition. The X-Men arrived to reclaim one of their own. The statue is now safe where it belongs, with the X-Men. The second Secret Wars occurred shortly after these events. After the heroes of Earth defeated the god of Battleworld, Earth was reset, but it was altered, now containing elements from both the 616 and the Ultimate Reality. Old Man Logan survived and found himself teaming up with these X-Men. He isn't our Wolverine, but he does fill a void left behind by the iconic Clawed X-Men. Laura Kinney, Wolverine's female clone and surrogate daughter, left behind her X-23 codename and, with a blessing from the entire X-Men roster, she took up the mantle as the all-new Wolverine. September 2017 rolls around and Marvel decides to revisit and refocus on their entire core superheroes. That brings us full circle to Marvel Legacy Issue 1, where we see the return of the one, the only, James Howlette, aka the Wolverine, aka the best at what he does, aka the X-Men Logan. Marvel cannot have a legacy event focusing on their core characters without bringing back such an iconic individual, so it is expected to happen, and after 3 years of being dead, the Weapon X is back. So, no, this isn't a clone or an alternate version of the adamantium enhanced mutant. This is our Wolverine, evidenced by the fact that young Jean Grey went to the cabin housing Wolverine's adamantium covered body, where she discovers the adamantium split in half and the body of Wolverine missing. So now we know why he came back, but how did he come back? Was he even dead to begin with, or was he merely in a coma? Maybe one cell survived the adamantium encasing and he managed to regenerate from that. Well, let's take a look at how tough his mutant ability really is. It is well known that his mutant healing factor is immensely powerful. He once survived a point-blank explosion when the mutant Nitro literally blew up in Logan's face. This event led into the first Marvel Civil War. Logan was not a key figure in the Civil War itself, but the fact that Nitro blew up in his face gives us an idea of how powerful Logan's healing factor really is. Nitro's explosion is reported to have an impact of 1,000 pounds of TNT, which is about a kiloton. give or take. Not as much as the explosion hitting Hiroshima and Nagasaki from back in World War II. These massive explosions were about 15 kilotons each, but even though Logan took only 1 kiloton of explosion, he took it right in the face, which resulted in the baking and the blast cleaning of all of his flesh, and yet the Wolverine walked away to fight another day. A similar incident appeared during the Age of Ultron event, where 2 carriers collided on most of the superhero community. Wolverine wakes up with one leg devoid of all flesh. He passes out from the pain and wakes up 5 days later to find that his leg is fully recovered. But in this same event, through the magic of time travel, the same Wolverine goes back in time, stops his younger self from killing Hank Pym, thus theoretically saving the future. But the paradox is now that there are 2 of them, so to correct this, he allows his younger self to kill him. The action happens off panel, so we will never know how Wolverine kills the other. All we can see is that one Wolverine walks back to Sue Storm with his claws out, drenched in blood. In the popular The Punisher Kills the Marvel Universe, Frank Castle stuns Logan by using his own adamantium claw to stab himself. Then he throws Logan into an electricity battery, which fries his skin right off, leaving only his bones behind. This event is set in an alternate universe, so we can take it with a grain of salt, but as we have seen, our main Wolverine can probably take the punishment and regenerate himself after a week or so. When Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe, he offs Wolverine by using a carbonadium blade, which renders Wolverine's healing factor useless. Deadpool cuts his head right off, which theoretically should kill Wolverine. We don't see Wolverine again, but if he was to survive this, Deadpool would probably hook Wolverine up along with his son and clone, and then set the flamethrowers to burn the 3 of them whenever their skin starts to regenerate, which basically leaves them in a constant flux of coma state regeneration. So there are a lot of examples that we can bring up, but let's keep moving forward with the subject matter on Wolverine's return. Back in Marvel Legacy 1, Wolverine stops a frost giant sent from Loki to acquire a secured case. Wolverine opens the case to find a blue infinity gem. The gems went through a small change in color and power, but blue is traditionally the color of the Mind Stone, or gem. So now, Wolverine is in possession of a stone, which means that he will cross paths with the Guardians of the Galaxy, who are on the hunt for these precious objects. What makes this scene interesting is that Wolverine doesn't seem too surprised that he found a stone. Could he have known what was in the case before he even opened it up? This also hints us as to how he got out of the adamantium statue. A popular theory is that someone aided Wolverine out of his imprisonment, and this someone maybe even jump-started or even revived Wolverine from the dead. With the Infinity Gems involved, this someone might just be a powerful cosmic being. So now that brings us full circle. Wolverine is back in action, but what does that mean for the 2 other Wolverines currently running around? Old Man Logan joined up with the Storm's faction of the X-Men, and we got Laura Kinney Wolverine running around with the young X-Men. To make things even more confusing, Daken isn't Wolverine's only son running around the main universe. Jimmy Hudson arrived from the Ultimate Universe and is now running around with the young X-Men. He hasn't met Old Man Logan or the all-new Wolverine yet. But what happens when he finally gets to meet the main man, Logan? Or how would Daken handle the fact that he has a brother from an alternate timeline? Alrighty guys, so with that being said, I'm super excited to have our beloved Wolverine back in the limelight, and it looks like we are set to see Wolverine travel in space and get tangled with the Infinity Gems. But Wolverine isn't the only legacy hero coming back. Bruce Banner's the Hulk will make a return, and there's whispers that the original Phoenix, Jean Grey, will be reborn as well. That's all the time I have today, guys. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end. If you liked the video and want to support us, please check out our Patreon page. The link will be in the description below. Thanks again, and if you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time in another Comic Island video.